before we rip into it really, because there's quite a few alarming stats just on succession for New Zealand landholders or farmers. So this is from a recent study. So only 1 out of 3 farmers have a succession plan in place in New Zealand. 50% of farmers have neither discussed or commenced succession. Half of the landowner population within the next decade will be over the pension age of 65. 1 in 3 farmers intend to pass their farm on to their children, but probably more significantly, just under 40% report having no children interested in farming whatsoever. So I think it's probably collectively agreed that as an industry, whether you're inside the farm gate or out, we've got a lot of work to do. But at the end of the day, today we've got a really incredible opportunity to hear from 3. I'm pretty sure they're all happy for me to say vastly different succession pathways and journeys, and right from the traditional. Again, Thomas, I think you might put into that one, which we'll hear from at the end. But we've got the Armstrong family, of course, and we've got Judith and her daughter Ellen representing the Armstrong family. We also have the Trolove family who are farming close by, and Mark and his son Andrew will be representing them, and we've also got Thomas Werder here as well. So once we get a bit of a background understanding of how they've worked through their succession journey, perhaps not quite like the other sessions, we're actually going to leave a good chunk of time for Q&A, and I really think that's where everyone's going to get a bit of a gold nugget out of today's session and hopefully take something home to apply to your succession journey of wherever you are with that. So really challenge you to put your hand up and answer those questions. But hey, we'll rip straight into it. Time's of the essence. So Mark and Andrew, if you want to come on up.
Yeah, take a stool.
Mark, we'll leave it to you.
Is that on? Yep. Okay, Mark Trolove, yeah, I'm a 5th and he's a 6th generation farmer on land that my great-great-grandfather bought straight off the boat from Ireland back in 1885. Yeah, I skipped forward 100 years and I started in 1984, contract milking on the farm, which was my mother's farm. Then pretty quickly went 50-50, and then in 1990 my auntie died, so I took the opportunity then to try and buy out my cousins, so farmed away there quite thing. My brother then died in sort of 96, so we ended up leasing Dad's family, the farm on Dad's side from then on, and sort of over the years just added to Arawata, and so sort of basically ended up with a 600 cow farm on Arawata, a 300 cow farm at Pihama, and then so that was all going pretty well, and then Andrew decided he wanted to come home.
So I came home. In my first year, before the first year, I kind of said, Dad, I'd like to try this farming thing out. And he said, yeah, alrighty, you can be a manager. Well, not manager, he said you can start farming. I think he said, I'll turn up every Monday and we'll go what to do on the first week, and every week, and we'll go from there. You turned up to 1, I think, and that wasn't even 1, but and left me to it. So after the first year, I thought, shit, I'm getting paid what I thought was minimum wage, but no, it's good on that. I thought, shit, if I'm doing all this work, can I have a bit more a slice of the pie? So I asked to go contract milking. Did that for 4 years. After that, I kind of thought, shit, I'm still doing the same work. Me and the wife, who works on the farm, thought, shit, we'll look to buy some cows. I firstly asked Dad, can I buy the Pihama cows, because I thought 300 cows, we did the budget, and we'd be able to piss in and buy those and be happy on our way. Dad kind of said, oh, I'd like you on the home farm, because I'd already been there and it was just slightly easier, so we reworked the numbers on 600 cows and pretty much went from there. Been share milking now for this is my third season.
So during that time when he wanted to buy the cows, so he wanted the easy option of taking 300 cows like we all do, and that was big home of land because anyone can farm that shit. I wanted to. So I made him, I pretty much thought, well, with the 3 kids that I had, originally I thought, well, none of them are going to go farming. They're all going to, and I'd be lucky to have them in the same country, let alone in the same 10, 15 minutes away, as it's turned out. But in the background, so he's got 2 sisters, and the middle daughter, she married a rugby player, and he came back, and I could see he was never going to be able to do a big job for a while yet, and I didn't have the time and patience to teach him, and Andrew was well established, and I thought it was going to be a lot easier. But at this same stage going around, we were thinking how we're going to do the succession, and my then bank manager, I think Andy McLeod, he put us on to Wayne Hawkins, who we knew from previous, banking. Wayne's a, well-known Taranaki banker, isn't he? And he got some money from Venture Taranaki, and he interviewed all the kids separately, and then we had a big family meeting and held hands in some convoyeur and sort of talked about feelings and aspirations and stuff, which is not my cup of tea.
I don't think it was anyone's cup of tea, but we got there.
Anyway, so we did that, and that was good. But even from then, so that's when we sort of firmed up that he'll come on the home one. Amy and Kane said, I don't want nothing, from you fellas. I'm going to do it on my own and do it on my ears. And Bam said, yeah, I'll do whatever you like, mate. so we, had where we intended to go, and then it was just about how do we do it. And I thought Hawkie was going to jack all that up too, but no, that sort of thing. So then, into the man in the back row there, Chris Harvey at BDO. At the same time, he was doing a lot of, he was advertising succession planning and stuff anyway, and we were clients. And Kevin retired, so we basically just went straight to Chris. He took over our thing, and we were just running a trust for the whole business. Everything, 2 enterprises. Vicky was accounting, keeping the books, but it was just one big operation. So then, what happened next? Yeah, so then Chris, between Chris and D-Ray, we came up with a plan of forming companies. So we set up Yarrawater Pastures as a separate company, which gave us the structure for shareholding to be easily transferred from things. So Andrew then was 50-50, and I thought, well, geez, 600 cows, he's going to take all the profit out of this job, and I'm going to have nothing for myself, and I've got the big mortgage, so I thought, well, if you're getting all the profit, you're going to have the mortgage too. So we set up the company, and he brought in equity, borrowed money, extra money to be a 100% equity partner. So he pretty much now has all the responsibility and all the running stuff of it, and he takes the profit massively more than perhaps us, but he also has all the responsibility. And I think I've always said, a guy in his 30s with a young family, they're going to be the most productive sort of guys you'll get, and so the best thing you can do for them is give them a bloody big mortgage that just guarantees they're going to work hard. So that's basically what we did, and then we've replicated the job then at Pihama by putting doing the same thing. We've sold the cows this year and found 25% equity partners on that, and we're cows in town. So, yeah, I don't know how it's going to go from now. It's we might do ourselves a bit thin by giving away all our cows and all the control, but that's the whole point of doing it, is you're trusting the next generation to take over and run the ship. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there we go.
Beauty. Hey, I mean, that was definitely a question of mine, and a key one for succession is how do you make it financially realistic for both parties? And I think a key detail there that you mentioned was you're giving away half your milk cheap to give your son and daughter in their 30s a good crack at this. But realistically, to keep the life you live, I'm sure you've passed over the debt. I guess the question there is, and you touched on it before, but how do you keep that financial security for yourself going forward? Because we sort of know that succession's never a stagnant thing, and probably as soon as you've passed on your side of it, you've got the next generation probably looking to do something similar.
Yeah, well, it's like when you're a kid, you used to go up the mountain and try and coast all the way down home. You know, a bit like buggery to get up there, and for me, I don't know. You don't know how long you're going to last. You don't know where the end goal is, and you're just hoping that you got enough bloody petrol in the tank to get you home. But it's we're reliant on him to be a good farmer and take growth opportunities, and it's just how long we keep our we'll sell bits out as and when, and I don't know. There's no firm plan, but the plan is to be fully out. But whether we can do something else in the meantime, I'm still fully involved. Sort of doing, I do the runoff and I do land development, and that's my hobby. So as long as I can keep doing that, and my wife's happy in the new house, and we've got the grandkids and the thing, I don't think we need a lot of my parents have, been for me. They gave us the opportunity when I was young. So I think if you're given the opportunity, it's incumbent on you to make the most of it. And so many people don't get the opportunities that we've had, and it would be quite easy just to sit on your ass and then sell the whole lot and go to the Gold Coast or something. But, I'm just not wired that way, and I just see a real responsibility to keep it going as long as I can. And if they want to sell it, well, that's their business. I can't do anything about it by then, but at least I can say to my granddad, I did my part.
No, fantastic. I think that's something key, right? And everyone, it's widely known that the earlier you get on to succession, the better, and it's not the case of having to transact the farm fully at an early age, but at least starting the process. Probably on the fly, I'm going to change it up a wee bit, and maybe we just, while we've got each panellist up here, we might just throw some questions in the audience while they're up here, and then we'll do that for 5 minutes each, and get next Ellen and Judith up. Anyone got any questions for Mark and Andrew?
So just for clarity, so you borrowed 40% of the equity plus you get 50% of the cheque. So
Yeah. So pretty much running my trust, Bearfield Trust, is share milking, and then also I've got a 40% share in the business. So yeah, I am the majority income earner by having the 50-50 deal, and then also having an investment in the farm ownership, which it works out quite good because it's still on the 50-50, so there's a nice mutual agreement that I'm the share milker, and then also Dad still kind of has the majority share of the land. So if there's any kind of arguments, he can kind of sometimes trumps me, even though I think I know everything.
and
I do.
for the development work, do you actually claim? Do you charge them?
Yeah, we're having these conversations, and the two guys that are in the back row there that know our business the best, and I just ignore their advice all the time. They're saying you should be charging this and you should be doing that, and I'm just terrible because I'll just go and do it and worry about all that shit later. But we're having this conversation with the baler at the moment.
Yeah.
Like the old baler fell off it today. He was bailing until half an hour ago, and yeah. Well, what do you reckon? Get a new one. Who's going to buy it? Well, how are you going to split that up? What's the bloody go? You know. And so yeah, those fellas in the back row, they need to be. You need to be asking them what the answer is. I don't know. Well, I can tell you one other thing though. One other thing about setting up two companies and a trust is that BDO get three. They seem to bill 3 times now instead of 1.
Seems to be a common request coming through from Mr. Harley there. Yeah.
You want for Andrew, I suppose, through this process. I suppose things are going quite well at the moment. Things are looking quite rosy. You go back 2 or 3 years ago when we were sitting at 8% interest rates and an $8 payout, things weren't so rosy. Did you ever have any apprehensions about taking the next step?
As in when we set it up, or
Yeah, buying in and taking the
yeah. Well, when we were in the office with you that day, and we were working through the, we did a bit of a, working out the interest rates and going, oh yeah, it was going to stay. It was about 5. It was 4 at the time, I think. And we were like, yeah. We'll put a bit of fluctuation. I think we did sensitivity to about 7%, and yeah, it got up to 8%. And yeah, and the payout did drop something like that. But again, yeah, that was what any farmer does. You don't farm for that year; you farm for the thing. So we did the workings out with you, and yeah, everything seemed like we were gonna. It was a profitable exercise that we were going to do. But yeah, there's always fluctuations in any part of farming.
He wasn't paying 14, and I think we got up to 18 when we started. But
Back in our day.
wasn't. We didn't have the zeros at the end of it. So
Maybe one more question.
Question for Andrew. Before you brought into this business or wheat share milking, did you consider other pathways to build equity? Or did you just trust that this was going to be your most lucrative way?
Yeah. I didn't have a uni degree. I'm not that smart. My best investment was my not worth ethic, but what I can do best to earn the most amount of money was being a dairy farmer. So in the schemes of earning, to building up equity was to, go to that contract milking kind of thing and be as best as I could and save as much money as I could. If that's kind of answered your question, if there's, I got a couple of friends that kind of, got side hustles and do this. I felt that, and also one of my mates said the first lecture they went to at university, they got told to diversification, and I always felt that most people that diversified always were the first ones to fuck out. But so I stuck to my knitting, what I knew, what I thought I knew the most.
So it wasn't a moment that you decided to leave the family unit and go share milking elsewhere, build cows, and then come home? Or was that never an option?
We I've got a mate that's kind of done that similar vein, and it worked out quite nicely for their family. I did look around at the time. I not look around, but it was kind of that's why we looked at that 300 cow option to see, and found out that was viable. But yeah, with the succession through the home farm, it was quite nice having not the banker mum and dad, but a lendy that was how to put it. Yeah, they were happy to kind of give a bit more than them taking kind of thing. So that's how I am fortunate where I am today kind of thing. They haven't given me given me money, but they've given me the setup to thrive kind of thing.
Awesome. Hey, I think we will just leave it there in the interest of time to get through the other panelists. So thank you, Mark and Andrew. If you give us give them a round of applause. well, next up, clearly you would have heard a lot of the background this morning, but just want to welcome to the stage Judith and Alan. This, as I mentioned, 3 vastly different succession stories, and it was quite evident that at the 2015 juncture when Ian was saying this morning on the stage that they were looking to get out of farming as such. We're now at the point where we can start to hear the other side of the story of just how it's stayed with the family and how it is today. So, pass over to you, Judith.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. So, yes, as Ian had said earlier, our daughters had assumed there wouldn't be a farm or a pot of gold handed over to them on our death or older age, so had planned independent futures for themselves. And so Ian and I just ourselves have been talking about from 2014 that we need to begin planning our retirement. I grew up on the East Coast and wasn't necessarily going to stay in Taranaki, so there were lots of discussions going on there. And part of it was accepting ourselves that it was likely we would be needing to sell the farms in the 10 plus year plan. And the girls said they had an attachment and didn't want to see the farms go out of the family. And as they were not going to milk cows themselves, we didn't know how this could work. So in December of that year, Ian and I met up with Kerry Ryan in his Tauranga home to understand what he offered with succession planning. And while it's not cheap, it was money well spent. Kerry's strong message during that first meeting was about giving family members opportunities and paying for the work they do. Kerry interviewed Ian and I in detail in early 2015, and then interviewed each couple, so Ellen and her husband, and then Paula and Johnny were living in Western Australia then. And Ian's and my concern was that the girls were saying keep the farms, but that they really didn't have any idea of the work that was involved, or wouldn't want to do the work, and we didn't know what pathways there could be. Kerry's interview with the girls and their husbands, fiancé at the time, showed that they were keen to step up and do what needed to be done to help keep the farms, and we shared the results of our 3 lots of interviews. Then Kerry, with the 6 of us, met together for the first time in Wellington in June 2015 to work out pathways forward and put in place some strong meeting procedures. I wouldn't have said it was quite the kumbaya sort of thing, but probably there were things that made Ian and I uncomfortable. I'd agree with that. So it was a more corporate structure of running our farms and our investments, but it was exciting to refresh our business with young people in this way. We also received extensive help from our then farm advisor, Brenda Natural, and from our accountant on ways we could make all this work. Our bank wasn't heavily involved as he wasn't debt then. And whilst Kerry Ryan talked of ring fencing a portion of our assets for Ian and I that would stick as just Ian and mine and the rest become family assets, we haven't done that sort of thing yet. We've helped the girls a little bit in different ways, but the land and business is still held in our trusts in various ways. So that's how we got the ball rolling, and now Ellen will talk about the next generation, how they picked it up and turned those ideas into actions.
So as Mum has just explained, the 4 of us joined Mum and Dad to form our governance group from the family enterprise, both the farm and our off-farm investments. There wasn't this wind in the marquee earlier. We all came in with very different skill sets. Johnny is a mechanical engineer, my sister, Johnny's wife Paula, is a chemical and process engineer, working in project management. My husband Darren was a data guru or an analyst in the energy sector, and I was an accountant helping to manage corporate budgets. So we definitely didn't come from farming backgrounds, but we were all keen to learn. We made a conscious decision early on that if we were going to be involved, we needed to upskill properly, not just sit at the table with opinions and no understanding. Our share milkers at the time ran a great farming 101 day for us, and we really did go back to basics. We put cups on, set break fences, assessed pasture, and learnt the whole farming calendar. At the same time, the 4 of us all completed governance training through the Institute of Directors, and this helped to ensure we had an understanding of our responsibilities. At first, we were all juggling this alongside our day jobs, and were starting families, until it became clear that something had to give. Mum and Dad were still carrying a huge load, and at some point someone actually had to step into the business properly, not just support it from the edges. And about 6 years ago, Johnny made that call. He put his engineering business to the side, completed hands-on dairy training on local farms, and took on the role of operations manager. Around this time, Johnny and I both completed a rural governance course with Dairy NZ, and that was a real turning point. It gave us a much clearer picture of what good actually looked like, and it also helped us realise something important. We weren't really achieving good while juggling too many roles, too many expectations, and growing families. And that's when I had a bit of a mindset shift as well. I started to see the farm not just as hard work and long hours, but as a really good business that Mum and Dad had built over decades. Johnny was relieving Dad's role somewhat, but Mum was still doing the monthly accounts, and all the hard work she'd put into policies over the years was fading away as they weren't being updated. I realised I'd rather put energy into building on what already existed than spending my time elsewhere. So about 4 years ago, I left my management accounting job and took on a part-time role as business manager for the farm. This part-time role also worked better for my family whilst my children were younger and living in Wellington with no family support around. At this time we set up the governance structure with Mum, Dad, Johnny and I as directors of the company that runs the farm. Sorry. This wind is terrible. Mum became the chair to ensure that neither Dad's nor Johnny's views outweighed the discussion in meetings, and we found that this works really well. Alongside this, I also work closely with Dad on our off-farm investments held by the family trust to ensure continuity in those relationships. And we have a separate governance structure for the family trust that's the four of us, plus my sister Paula. A big part of my early role wasn't spreadsheets and systems, it was people and conversations. Johnny and I have spent a lot of time helping get Mum and Dad's ideas out of their heads and down on paper. Mum and Dad are thorough and already had many of these ideas and the documentation started. We've worked to ensure alignment and clarity, which is important for the way we operate our farms. Recently, we engaged CNK accountants to review our succession journey and business structure and see if we are fit to transfer to the next generation. From those conversations, we haven't made any significant changes, but Dad has decided that in 2 years he's going to step back from our boards. So we've engaged our new accountant, Nick Lawn from Sheeran, Ireland, to join our farming board as an independent director, so he can see how we like to run things for the next 2 years before Dad steps down. Our structure's a little different to some, and Johnny and I are still paid hourly for the work we do on farm. We've set up an additional director's payment within the last couple of years to recognise the responsibilities a directorship position holds, but we don't have any plans at this stage for Johnny and Paula, nor Darren and I to buy into the farm ownership. We have regular check-ins amongst the four of us to ensure this model is still working for everyone and what our longer-term plans might be for the next generation. Although that's still a while away, as the next generation are aged 2 to 8. We're all still happy with how things are operating. Me remotely from Wellington, Johnny on farm here a few days a week, and Mum and Dad essentially as our trusted advisors, assisting with input and feedback where we need it, but very much still part of the action.
Well, incredibly different, I think, to probably what a lot of us have been through with succession journeys in the past. I've got a couple of questions, but I'm keen to throw it to the audience in the interest of time. So is there anyone there that had a burning question to ask Ellen or Judith? No? One.
That's fascinating. One thing that really stands out is the strength of the governance structures, so that has been particularly interesting. But I am interested in what is perceived at this point in time as being first steps in land asset succession. You know, you talked about the now and the fact that hasn't been embarked yet, which I respect absolutely. But I'm just interested because that's the big piece, isn't it? Yeah. And how does that look, if I may ask?
Probably one of the things, our trusts were set up pretty early days and they're cumbersome, and we're trying to get those sorted out in a more tidy fashion, and for our trusts, they leave our assets to our children and our grandchildren anyway. I guess for Ian and I, when you've hung around for a while, these kids have only been here for a day or two. We've got to check that they want to stay in what we do before we change everything around, because there's huge costs in changing everything around when they're still going to get it in the end. So it is a work in progress, and maybe Ian should add his comments. Do you want a comment to add to it, Ian?
The only assets that Judith and I actually own, and this is because of legislation as much as anything, is the West Coast lease area that we have. So everything else is in terms of land ownership, is under the trusts, which isn't sort of us, it's a separate vehicle, as you're aware anyway. And the farming operations are run under AME Limited, which is a limited liability company. So in terms of us holding on to the assets, we're not, other than West Coast there, which we recognise we need to do something about. But at this stage, until we get a little further into just whether we modernise the trusts or leave them as they are, depends on the cost. They're clunky, but they work, if that makes sense. So we're working through that at the moment, and that'll be one of the early jobs after the new year.
Hey, I think we will just have to keep going from there. We've only got 5 minutes left, supposedly. So, again, round of applause for poetry. Next up, we have Thomas Werder. And again, I mentioned at the start that Thomas is maybe a bit more traditional, perhaps, in the sense of Taranaki scale, perhaps multiple or lots of siblings, Thomas, that you had to work through there in one farm. So, yeah, I'll hand it over to you, mate.
Yeah, I'm Thomas Werder. So, I'm a bit of background. Mum and Dad from Switzerland, they're immigrants. Dad came over in the 1970s, kind of worked his way through the farming ladder. Mum came out in the 1980s when Dad had purchased his first farm. Dad was 50-50 on 200 cows, and then sold the pick of his herd, and then brought an 80 cow farm down our way. I'm one of 6 children, 1 brother, 4 sisters, I'm third, so problem child, I guess you can say. But in 2008, Dad passed away. Succession planning probably hadn't been talked about much previous to that. We were all still pretty young, not sure how much. We all knew about the business a little bit. We were in the family had a trust and everything, but the succession plan hadn't been talked about properly. Anyway, the first year my brother was a bank manager. I had another year at uni to go, so he decided to come home to the farm. Dairy farming wasn't for him. He probably enjoyed the challenge of sheep and beef farming better. So after 1 year, I come home. My brother, previously being a bank manager, had seen succession plans either not been in place or fail within families. So when I come on the farm, we decided that we'll have sibling meetings, so no partners involved, just straight siblings, the 6 of us, even without mum. So whatever we had to say in those meetings, none of it was confidential. You could take it home to your partners, we could talk to mum about it. It was all open, but when we were having those discussions, it was only us talking, and there was no input from what we call them the waters. So we're the bloods, and our partners are the waters. So that's how we do love them, but they're the waters. But anyway, I started on the farm in 2009 as a worker, manager, Laura Shemulka, 50-50 leasing, and then we purchased the farm in 2017. Around purchasing the farm, there was family money left in, and the way that we set it up was that we kind of put mum, I guess with our father passing away, we kind of protected her a little bit, so we started with her at the top, what she needed, and then our system had to work in with it. So we figured out what she ended up selling the farm, and she brought a runoff, a 20 hectare block, and built a new house on it. So we put that into the equation, and then we figured out what she needs to live on, and then we had that picture, and then how we can make that fit in with our system. And what happened was that we ended up borrowing as much as we could from the bank. That money was given to Mum, all debt was paid off, and whatever money was left over was left for an opportunity for the rest of the siblings. So if any other siblings wanted to go 50-50 or land ownership, they'd talk to Mum, and then the family money, we're on a 30-year plan, and every 5 years we just got to pay back a certain amount of money, and then that money can get divvied up every 5 years to whoever's in the situation that they possibly might need it. In terms of getting to the land ownership, we did a little bit different again, but we had off-farm incomes as well in terms of taking on separate lease blocks, 50-50 jobs and stuff like that. Like Andrew said, they actually do come with a lot of challenges. Taking your finger off the pulse at home can sometimes lose you more than you're gaining, but yeah, luckily we kind of managed to figure that out pretty early, and then kind of managed it within equity jobs, like we set up like equity partnerships to do those jobs rather than doing them solo. Yeah. For the rest of us, I actually forgot to mention that when we had our meeting, but yeah, when Mark came out, I was like, that's right, that was probably a vital part of the piece of the puzzle. But yeah, the family meetings, in terms of them, they were very, they started off with my youngest sister being 13, I think 14 when we started them, and she was talking about getting a dress for the prom or a date for the prom, and we were talking about maybe going from a farm worker to a manager's role, and then they've kind of worked through and been very open and honest with just 6 of us, and now we're having these meetings and we're talking about $1 million here, where's that $500,000, what's happening here, is anyone needing that? So-and-so, they want to go 50-50 next year. The pinch has come on, we brought the neighbours, can we maybe look at another 200? And so a lot of those discussions, I think if they happened straight off the bat, could have been a little bit messy, but because we started those conversations from day one, I'm not saying it's the right way, I'm just saying how we did it. Because we started those discussions from day one, we kind of understood them all the way through, so we kind of accept. And if you come and ask any of the siblings, like what we're doing isn't completely equal, I'm probably getting the better, I'm probably getting the rub of the green. But my godfather, he told me with his succession plan that fair isn't always equal, and it's, yeah. But anyway, that's how we kind of, that's what we did.
Cheers, Thomas. Exceptionally detailed story there, I think, of how succession rolled out in your family. You know, a really unfortunate circumstance to go through, but the fact that you guys as siblings and your mum came together and it still is where it is today. And I think a key part of that you mentioned to me at the farm was all 5 of your other siblings are within the industry now. So, you know, we probably look at that where there's one farm, 6 siblings, you know, that could have gone quite differently. And it's a testament to your family on how you're still working through that now. And yeah, so, but look, again, I just want to throw up to the audience if there's any questions for Thomas. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Sorry, I always have questions. So the money that was left in, so you sort of said you have a 30-year sort of, you know, you borrow $1 million and you got sort of 30 years, but every 5 years you have to pay some back, and then as a group you sort of all then sort of say, yeah, I want some here, I want some here. Is that, was that formalised, or is it just the trust that you had in your sibling relationship?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'll probably miss out a key point there. The money that we borrow from Mum is the family money. we pay interest on that, and that's how her income is. So she that money is every 5 years. It's a payment, and then it is probably a little bit of a trust thing. Everything is written down, and being 5 siblings, we do try and make things as fair as possible. Probably similar to Mark and Andrew, one sibling probably doesn't need as much help as the rest of us. That's not to say that he wouldn't like it. Well, I've only got one brother, so I've pointed it out already. But long story short, it's going back to that first thing about understanding, everyone understanding, like talking about jobs, like a 50-50 job before they even applying for the job. Those discussions don't necessarily have to happen in an annual meeting. They're not even, we don't even write them down that, all right, it's going to happen at Christmas every single year. It's probably a little bit, I guess, relaxed in a way. But I guess the communication lines are always open within us 6 and also with Mum. At the end of the day, it's Mum's decision. Mum and Dad, they worked, they paid off all the debt, they got themselves in this position that they're not carrying a lot of debt, and us paying back, of us buying in hasn't just cleared their debt, it's actually enabled her to have an income. And I guess going forward and talking about succession planning, which we are, I guess that's the position that we want to get to. And I guess Mum has given us that opportunity that we can borrow money a lot cheaper. So what we can do, we're probably 10, 15 years ahead of where we probably could have been. So the opportunity for us is that hopefully one day we can do the same thing with either one of our children or a nephew or a niece. And I think the structure that Mum has in place, I could probably even do with an outsider. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but yeah.
Just during that process, obviously you guys were all pretty young. Your brother was a bank manager, so he had some intel, I suppose, into succession planning. But was there another team? Was there a team of advisors that came in to provide different perspectives for the bloods on each side of their?
It wasn't purposely done with no professional advice. I guess the conversation started very little, like having a BDO guy come in and talk about my sister wanting a prom date would have, I don't know if that would have been money well spent, but at the end of I guess, no, we've kind of all got our people that we trust in and rely on in terms of bank managers, accountants, lawyers, and I guess personally we go to them for advice, and then we can bring it back to the group. And we've tried to keep it semi-simple, but I guess this stuff always gets complicated at some stage.
Time for one more if there's one more. Yeah.
Thomas, when we had to get together in Stratford, and I think this is perhaps just worth sharing with the group if you don't mind, you made the comment that you took an appraisal to your mum and she threw it back. You made you go back and think about it again. You took it to her again, revised or whatever, and she made you go back again. Do you just want to share that? Because I think that was a real reality check for you guys, from what I took from it anyway, and really made you do your homework properly.
Yeah, so we in those conversations, obviously going from contract milking to 50-50, those conversations were in there, and then going from leasing the farm to purchasing the farm was a really big step of how we do it, how the family money kind of gets, not necessarily divvied up, but how we work it all out. I guess we kind of protected our own business and tried to make it, I wouldn't say as cosy as possible, but as profitable as we could. And we took that back. The first one was actually denied by the siblings, so they kind of looked at that and they were like, I don't know if it was too early or not fair enough, but we kind of, 6 months later, come back with another proposal, and then the siblings were actually happy with that, and Mum looked at it and she said, hey, it's probably not quite there. Not necessarily the fairness of it, but just the structure as well. And then we kind of come out and went back and sit in the cow shed for another 6 months and plenty of thinking time in there, and come up with another proposal, and then that was the one we went with. Looking back at the second proposal, that probably was a little bit more clunky than what we've got now. We probably really had to simplify it, and yeah, we probably didn't go into the purchasing the farm with a whole heap of equity, like in terms of buying a farm, having that massive equity amount, but being able to use Mum as our bank, and yeah, that really helped a lot as well. But yeah, it's just about getting that balance in between what money was available for the other siblings at the time. That was probably the biggest thing, and it just, yeah, my brother says it's a succession planning. You know, you got to plan, and plans change all the time, and you got to put a plan in place, and that's what we kind of had to do. This plan, it's moving all the time to a point. Yeah.
Awesome. So, any advice, I suppose? Oh, sure.
What will you do when Mum goes?
I've got 5 years to pay her out.
But how does once she's gone?
Yeah.
You've got almost like a family bank.
Yep.
Are you guys going to carry that on? And how will that be operated?
Yeah, so I don't mind sharing this with the group. I don't know if we're going to wrap it up soon, Mark, or not. But this is the best example I can use, is that there's a $6 million farm and there's 6 siblings. So effectively everyone's eligible for $1 million, right? The way that we divvied it up is that I got more than $1 million to make it work, and I got that as a non-repayable loan, and then I've got repayable loan, and then the money that I've borrowed off the bank, and that money goes to Mum that they can divvy up. So if Mum was to pass away, the non-repayable loan from Mum that's non-repayable, and the repayable loan for Mum gets paid out so the other siblings can do what they get their part of the inheritance. It's kind of just taking that inheritance, I'm hoping 50 years earlier than at the time. And then, but like I said, as much as I can sit up here and make it sound like it was cosy for us, we really did try and put Mum, and not necessarily protect her, but just have a situation that she didn't have to worry about a drought, payout, didn't have to worry about any of that, that she can just be there. Being from Switzerland, we wanted to have that flexibility that she can go home whenever she wants. She's only gone once, so my interest rate might increase a bit if she would decide to do it on an annual event, but yeah. She's happy with it, and yeah, like I say, you only need a spender to come in the works and going to read it, look at it and stuff like that. But at the moment, I think it's working. Yeah.
Good. Well, we have gone over time, so we will wrap it up there. But hey, not just for Thomas, but for all the panelists, if you could just give a round of applause, that'd be great. Really appreciate it. Sorry, just lastly, I really do hope you got something, valuable out of that, or just to keep it insight. You know, whether it was, maybe going to Ellen and Judith's position, that if you've got children, or that aren't interested in farming, there are still pathways. I think a key part of the conversation with the other two panelists was either early engagement or an early transaction. And Mark probably demonstrated that with his reason around, you'll never see someone work harder in their 30s with a large mortgage. But also about surrounding yourself with people who will, who are ultimately going to look out for all parties, right from the farm owner passing it on through to all the generations down to a 13, 14-year-old sibling there. So that's probably the keys for me, but hopefully you've got something out of it maybe that I haven't wrapped up, and yeah, really appreciate your time.
Hi folks, just a final word from me. I'm Steph. I'm Steph Gudgeon from Matamata. I'm a farmer. Me and my husband own a farm in Hiniwera Valley. Does anyone know where Hiniwera is? Come on, yes, right. So hey, I'm part of the Pasture Summit Committee in the North Island, and we are in the business of turning grass into milk. And we like to bring people, farmers together like-minded, so we can build our capability and knowledge around what we do. And what we do, we project to the world. We are competitive. There's a few people I want to thank. Actually, Robbie challenged us at the beginning about knowing our number, knowing how much pasture our farms harvest. So that's your homework. You're going to take that home, and there's a few key metrics that we've heard today from this amazing family, the Armstrongs, and their well-oiled business and how they run, or the specialty knowledge that's been introduced to us by our guest speakers today. So there's a few techniques we can put under our belt to take home. Now, we would like to thank our host farmers and their families and their teams for having us today and opening up your homes and your hearts to let us in. We've all learned so much, and I've only been in the background guiding the Dairy NZ team to bring it together, but it's been a pleasure to work with you guys from afar. Our speakers and our facilitators, the farmers that have participated today in our panel discussion. So in this wonderful circle of intimacy we've kind of had today, sharing some pretty deep stuff about our finances and our business. We've had Judith and Alan and Mark and Andrew and Thomas sharing their journeys. The Dairy NZ regional team had been an absolute backbone to what we do. We've got some regional committee here from the Pasture Summit who have helped out and pitched in and built towers and been here for everybody. We've got amazing partners and sponsors. Like, I just can't thank you guys enough for all the support that we've received. Now, what's your name at the back from BBO? He told me on the way down that he absolutely adores coming to Pasture Summit and how amazing our events are. They are only amazing when we get feedback forms. Even if you've got nothing to say or nothing constructive to deliver us, if we're doing a great job, let us know. Anne collates all the feedback, and all the committee receive the feedback, and it's just a great way for us to improve. So the Dairy NZ team are up there collecting your feedback forms. Please return your land guards because we reuse these. And I think that's about all for me. So thank you everyone, and we'll see you again here soon.